Girl, Instagram said, look, y'all been doing this long enough. I saw
Instagram
that
was like,
countdown and
cut
I
it.
was like, oh no, not the countdown.
Instagram said,
So
cut it.
cut it, cut it. So
Cut
we
it.
had to start it over. If I see Naomi again, I'll add her. That's hilarious. I think we still have our men watching, and I appreciate the conversation. Taryn had said some cool stuff that I lost, but I was reading. Josh told you, this is what I got from memory, Joe. Josh told you to write a book. So write the damn book, Joe. Write the book. Um, and hello, everybody. We are celebrating National Polyamory Day, or the day after, because we've been this poly after dark at this point. We've been doing it for hours. Oh, pause. We've been see, and I'm a born again virgin, so y'all are not gonna keep sucking
That's why
me
her
into
mind was
grown
doing that.
folks conversations.
The
Um,
telepathy getting real over there.
I need to take my fat head to bed. But we are celebrating polyamory, and in it, we're having discussions about our own polyamorous journey. Two Black women who are openly polyamorous, and we actually have a third Black woman who I am trying to get back in the conversation because you know we just talking. I thought I was going to get off this call hours ago, and look at us. Uh, so
Potty break.
we
She back. She said potty break.
okay, yeah, those are important. Um, so I don't even know where we left off because we got disconnected in the middle of her dropping science.
Okay.
But Josh has something to say. There's a good read on frontal lobe development and exercises versus primal brain reaction and how, without critical thinking, the primal emotions take over all things. Primal emotions, not primary. What's the book or what's the read, Josh? What's the read? So we're assuming that if you are in this live or you're watching this live, that you are either polyamorous or a poly ally or at least a poly friendly. And if that is the case, welcome. We'd love to have you here. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Feel free to share your questions or your thoughts in the chat. We are happy to have you, all you night owls. All of us need to be in the bed, but here we are.
Y'all caught me on a good day. I'm off work tomorrow.
And I'm so happy about that. Yeah, Joe and I just decided to like spontaneously have this conversation. And I'm so glad we did.
Right. Right. I did want
Josh
to say
doesn't have the article at hand, but he can find it and send it later on. Okay. Don't
one thing
threaten
I
me with a
did
good
want to
time.
say
Mhm.
about what Naomi was saying about the exclusivity. I think a lot of people, like you said, because they hold the romantic at such a high level, that exclusivity, I think a lot of people associate that with they can no longer have autonomy, which to me is crazy because it's like 9 times out of 10, the level of autonomy you have with yourself is what attracted that person to you in the first place. So when you become exclusive and you stop being autonomous, you low key stop being the very person that they were attracted to. And then you wonder why the things start to happen. You know what I mean? Like the issues and the miscommunication and the headbutting start to happen because you no longer are in autonomy with yourself. You're trying to mesh with a person in a way that it didn't make sense in the first place. That's not how y'all met.
Are we getting ready to go there? Are we going to go there? Because if we're going there, we're going there.
You
I'm
know, like,
assuming that because you opened that door that we're going there.
I'm just saying
First
the
of all,
autonomy, man.
can we talk about how, oh, Naomi's ready to come back. Cool. And it's perfect timing because can we talk about how we have been trained to believe that males are supposed to be the hunters, the pursuers, the conquerors. They are they're supposed to they go find a woman who is glowing and flowing and hair growing, and she's feeling good about her life, and she's intelligent, and she is passionate, and she is well-rounded and phenomenal and potent and vibrant and vivacious. And then they run over there and capture her, and then they try to tame her and turn her into a shell of who she was, and they think that they're going to get the same level of vibrancy and potency from her that she had as a free agent under their control. So it's like they take a bird, put the bird in the cage, and then wonder why the bird stops singing.
Right.
I
Right.
see that so much. And that's why I'm saying when I'm talking about decolonizing how we do relationships, and I invited Naomi back. I don't know if she's having trouble getting in. Oh, except it's me. It's me. We're talking about decolonizing relationships and decentering romance. It's not because we don't love relationships, and it's not that we don't love romance. What we're saying is there are more sustainable, healthy ways of of showing up in relationships, increasing our relational IQ, building, uh, I would say, more practically and more communally,
Mm-hmm.
so that we are not setting ourselves up to literally take somebody's life force away from them and tell them that that is the sacrifice they have to make to love.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that you brought up what you brought up. And I think the same thing happens with women,
Mm-hmm.
right? Women see a man and, oh, he's so fine. And he's so strong, and he's so, right. He's bringing that thing, and you get this, like, you're attracted to all the things that make him masculine, and you love, and maybe all the girls see him walking, and he smells good, and he looks good, and he dresses well, and he's got sex appeal, and he's intelligent, and he's holding it down, and you're like, whoo, whoo. And then he get over to you, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, but I don't want you playing your video games, all those hobbies, give them up. You got
Mm-hmm.
to give up all your hobbies for me.
Who you
And
trying to go outside and smell good for? Why he can't go outside and smell good for himself? He was smelling good when he walked past you. So why shouldn't he smell good in a
now he can't go
relationship?
hang out with his boys. Now he can't have women friends in his life. Now he just can't exist. Now he can't even show up to his own family reunion without you there. He might actually just want to be around his family, but
Right.
now he can't do nothing without you there. And I think it's a similar. It might not be conquest in that sense, but it's still controlling, and you can still drain the life out of somebody. And then you wonder why he ain't sexy for you, why he's not cracking jokes. He used to be so funny. We used to
Right.
have so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're miserable.
Miserable because you can't be your full self, or you feel like you can't be your full self without it being a problem.
I keep hitting accept, and Naomi, I don't know if Mercury in retrograde is hating on us. I keep trying to let you in here. I'm going to cancel and invite you again and see if it works. Yeah, I think a lot of that's why I'm always like relationships are a matter of life and death. I think a lot of the ways that we've been taught to relate are actually dangerous and dehumanizing. I think we cause so much harm because we see a beautiful thing, and then we try to control the beautiful thing because we only want it to be beautiful for us.
Yep.
And it's like God did not give that person that light so that you could hide that light in your little cage from the world.
It was born beautiful. The fuck? It's not beautiful because of you. It was born beautiful. Now you got them, and you feel like their beauty is now dictated by you, and that's crazy. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
But it's so normal.
It is. It's very normal for a lot of people, and
Yeah,
that's
what
where,
we
like you said,
call,
it's life and death for both sides. Like it's life and death for you to check yourself sometimes, when you get in that mode, and it's life and death for them as well to stay solid within themselves while also navigating becoming in union with another person.
Josh, so crazy. This is Josh After Dark, y'all. He says, I like to read and learn about things I don't have answers for, and this live is porn to me. It's very gratifying.
I saw that.
I, I think, from a crown choice perspective, I respect that. He also says he has an answer for that. I don't know what was being said that he has an answer for, but according to white history, we have our white historian here. He says, this part, I dress well for me. I smell good for me. I show up how I feel at the time. If I'm in a suit or sweats, it's a reflection of my mood. And Naomi says her screen was frozen.
When you
Um,
accept her, I think.
what is this hateration, holleration, and this dancery? I'm trying to, this is like my sixth time trying to add her to the chat, and this is really starting to upset me. Okay, I wonder, let me see if I can do it a different way since we're being hated upon. Joe, let me find you. I don't know if anybody's an Instagram expert. We have a third person who's in this live, and I'm trying to add her, but I'm not good at this kind of thing. So if anybody is more knowledgeable than I am open to your wisdom.
I don't know if I can. I was gonna say I don't know if I can add her. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't think I can because I think it gotta be you.
Unbelievable.
Or what if she sends you the request?
Okay, let's see. Let me cancel. I'm canceling, and let's see if she sends the request. Mercury is in retrograde, so let's all just breathe.
It's like 5, 6 planets in retrograde right
Yeah, if you want to throw your phone, this is probably not the time to do it.
now.
Okay, so now she has requested, and I'm hitting accept and go live with Naomi. And I am being hated upon.
Hateration.
Yeah, this is terrible. I don't even understand this. We are accepting all tech support. Oh, the white history, Josh said it's about the hunter-gatherer time, guy bringing uh, machismo. uh, cute. Um, yeah, I think hateration sounds like hydration for hate. It is. The prophetess Mary J. Blige
Yeah.
schooled us on hateration and holleration in this dancery.
The Gospel of Mary J.
Yeah, Mary J. Been teaching master classes in relationships for the longest.
Right. She say it freezes up every time she requests.
What is this
I
about?
don't know
She's
why.
gonna go out and come back in. Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna hit cancel and see if when she comes back if it works. I'm doing my best. Um, there's a drink that can be marketed and sold, and y'all can make and buy a bank. Oh, he's so much the hateration, haterade. Um, uh, what I was gonna say about, I got distracted. I wanted to comment on something you said, Joe, but ADHD one.
What was I finna say?
I got to take the L.
I would say, like, in relation to autonomy, that's why I'm really big on the autonomy and sovereignty, especially like somebody like me who, like you said, being multifaceted and doing certain things. Um, like you said, you will attract different people based on your light. You know what I mean? And what I have experienced a good chunk of times, especially in this aspect of or this day and age where a lot of men and women, they want to find somebody in their life as a divine masculine or divine feminine. So
Mm,
they seek somebody that is, you know, this spiritual being and this ever evolving person and this healthy person and this bright person and this eccentric person, and they will see that and want to experience it. But naturally, what we are raised upon in the monogamous culture is to, they want to keep that, you know what I mean, for themselves. It's almost like, I want to keep you, you look nice, I want you. But the want goes beyond just want to experiencing them, but wanting to possess them. And that's where I be having the issue at, because you can want me and I can want you too, and I can want you in my life, but I don't want to possess you. You know what I mean? You're not my property.
oh, okay. Josh wants to make sure. I think I skipped one of the comments as I was scrolling through the chat. He wants to make sure that you know that and you didn't see it, I'm sure. He wanted you to know that your point was extremely valid, and no one can realistically be someone's everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You just can't be.
Even though the prophetess Mary J. Blige did do a song saying, "You are everything and everything is you," I think, I think again the programming, the conditioning, and I think if we really understand monogamy as the cultural norm is a relatively new concept. It is it's young. It's just that most of us grew up in it, so we didn't know that it was not always that way. So it is, I would say, more of a modern tradition
Hmm.
than it is the way it's always been. But a lot of us accept it as this is just the way it always was, and this is the way it's supposed to be, right? Because now we've attached morality to humanity, and those don't always coincide. Sometimes we make that conflation that, if as a human you're supposed to be this way. No, as a human you're just being.
Right.
If we're going to start talking about morality, that really differs from person to person, culture to culture. Um, Monogamy is not, it's kind of young. It's not even fully, they haven't even fleshed it out yet. It's kind of underdeveloped as a system. And in looking at it that way, it's helped me to be more gracious toward, when you see people that are together 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Um, oh, sorry, I was reading what Josh said. He says, also as a white man, as much as I feel this, I can't say I don't own someone without a side eye. I know that's right. Don't get jumped. Um, but seriously, monogamy is not as as mm, sophisticated of a system as we think it is. And if we really start to understand the history of monogamy in Western culture, then you cannot separate monogamy from colonialism,
Hmm.
and you cannot separate monogamy from capitalism. You can't separate monogamy from patriarchy, because all of those systems intersect in such a way, because monogamy was marketed to us
Hmm.
as a solution for what was going on in our systems from the top to the bottom. So this monogamy itself was introduced to us as a form of control. So some people really think like, no, this is just the way it's supposed to be. And if you're doing something different, then you are out of balance, or you're sinful, or you're wrong. No, man, people was doing non-monogamy way before the poly people started coming up with language for polyamory.
Right.
It's just that now, because we have all been programmed to value monogamy over anything else, we hear people talking about polyamory, and it's like, what is this new horrible shit? Shit that's been around for centuries, millennia, way before monogamy came. Let
Right.
me let me catch us up on our chat. Let me try to add Naomi again. Haters gonna hate. It's not working. Naomi says possessiveness is deeply programmed in us and is. Joshua says Mary J. Blige is the queen of queens. Don't blast her. I wouldn't even want to. That lady, first of all, why is she 54 and still looks like that? That's crazy work. I would
Still,
never want to be on her bad side.
that
Also,
body.
as a white man, oh, we got that half levity, half truth. Naomi says, I like the idea that monogamy is part of capitalism. People are property to be kept and hoarded, period. Joshua says, Naomi, capitalism is a solid view. Here in the great United States of America, where nothing has ever been bad for anyone. Oh, yeah, I love this. So I think going back to Taryn's question, which was such a good question, right? Awakening and the polyamorous lifestyle. I think what's really happening is a lot of us are awakening to the truth about who we are as humans, and we're extracting ourselves from the boxes that we've been raised in and really just asking ourselves point blank, who am I if I don't believe in this, that, or the other? If I don't suppress the parts of me that I didn't think were acceptable to other people, who am I if I chose to just live my life authentically? Who would I be and how would I move? And I think that's why we're seeing such an influx of people showing up differently, or what we would call alternative lifestyles. That's why so many people are coming out the closet as queer. So many people are coming out the closet as non-monogamous. So many people are coming out the closet as neurodivergent, because I think so many of us try to mask and be what we were told to be. And now we're like, for what? Who this for? First of all, it's making me suicidal to keep trying to pretend that I'm
Right,
something that I'm not. And people just want to breathe.
right. It's making me sad as hell. I'm losing weight. Don't like it.
Hate it.
Don't like it.
Dang, I'm so mad that I cannot add Naomi. I don't even know what to do about this. It's pissing me off. Oh, Josh is still talking. Josh, that sleep pill ain't doing nothing for you, baby. He says in minimum wage and anti-unions is slave wages. They want the maximum profit for minimum wage. Absolutely. Hence the huge focus on monogamy and the nuclear family. Josh
Hmm.
says the trickle down Reaganomics is a non fictional life we're in where we only get enough to get by scarcity. These models are built on profiting off of your scarcity mindset.
Hmm.
And he says, not yet. It takes a minute. Oh, okay. It ain't just gonna knock him out. Got it.
But no,
Yep.
I mean, that's why having an abundant mindset bothers a lot of people. It bothers a lot of people. When you walk around with a thought process of abundance about everything, people don't know how to take that. How support a
Karen
lack
got it. Yes.
support a lack of support from family and friends in regards to your lifestyle choices. I hope that's not too personal of a question. No, it's not. I mean, more my friends know than my family. I'm a private person to a point, so my family knows. My family knows me to be a very non-traditional person, or they understand that I, live a certain lifestyle. I joke all the time. I'll be like, "Look, y'all. All I know is if I show up to the reunion with a boyfriend and a girlfriend, everybody need to just mind their business. Don't ask me no questions about it, and I won't ask you no questions about your failing marriage. Just don't ask me. You know." That's how I joke, and everybody laughs, and that just be what it is. Nobody has shamed me or shunned me about it.
Because also don't start none, won't be none.
Basically, don't leave me alone, then I leave
You,
you.
you don't want me to you don't want me to clap back at the Thanksgiving table or as we passing out the Christmas gifts. If you don't want that smoke, don't bring the smoke.
Don't ask me about mine if you don't want me to ask me about your side piece sneaky link that ain't here
Oh,
today. You know.
okay. Naomi said the fear mongering is not working so much anymore. Josh said, Joe with the heat. Terrence said, LOL, you're funny. I can answer Terrence's question. I would love for Naomi to answer it from the chat since for whatever reason we cannot bring you back in here. And I keep trying. How is the support or lack of support from family and friends in regards to your lifestyle choices? I hope that's not too personal of a question. For me, it's cool. So uh, both my parents have passed away. They both passed away in 2021, back to back. But they knew me before they died because I kept it a stack with my parents. Lucky for me, I grew up with parents who had me when they were 20. So I kind of grew up with my parents. And I think the benefit and the curse of having young parents is they do a lot of fucking up because they don't know what they're doing. And I'm the oldest and the only surviving child of my parents together. And so there was a lot of stuff that happened with them toward me that was just wild, would absolutely not recommend. So I think when I got old enough to make decisions for myself, it was kind of like, this is just what it is, buddy. And and I really don't care what you think because it's what y'all modeled was so fucking wild.
You know, when we talk about the monogamy, like we want to practice monogamy so wrong.
Please. Like, don't even try it. Don't even try it. And so, um, my mom and I, we became friends before she passed, and I was really grateful for that. And we would just have open conversations, just like what we're having right now, Taryn. My mom would, and she would ask me wild questions, like stuff that would make me clutch my pearls. You know what I mean? My mom was asking me about anal sex. My mama was asking me about drugs and all sorts of things. And I'd just be like, oh, we're going there. She was asking me about my sexual orientation. I was trying to explain to her that polyamory is a relationship orientation. And she was like, yeah, but who you be fucking on? I want to know. And I'm like, oh, oh. So my dad, my dad and I had a real open, honest conversation. My family knows me very well, especially the family that I'm close to. And they are all cool. I think my family always knew Gose was different. You know what I mean? I might be an alien in my family. And I think they all just had to just accept from day one. I went from the weird kid to the kooky auntie. And 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 they love me and I love them. And nobody's trying to force anything on anybody. We all just living because I've lost so many family members within the last 6 years. I think we're just happy to have each other. We're like, fuck all that bullshit. Give me a hug. Because I don't know if this is the last time I'm going to hug you. And I think it's gotten like that for me. The people who connect with me today, it doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter what your political views are. For me, it's as simple as, can you love me as I am? Can I love you as you are? And if we both can agree to do that, the rest of that stuff starts feeling really petty to me. And I just don't have time to be arguing about petty shit. I'm just too old for it. Um, Friends? Oh, friends is cool. I mean, a lot of my friends are weirdos. I tend to be friends with the people who are innovative and on the cutting edge and doing their own type of thing, even if they're not polyamorous. All of my friends are extremely progressive in their own right, whether it's the work they're doing. A lot of my friends their minds are so brilliant and so they're such forward thinkers that sometimes they be having my hair blowing back where I'm the old lady who lives in the shoe going, hold on, let me take notes because I can't even keep up with the stuff you dropping on me.
Right.
Let me read some more stuff. uh Josh says, tagging on Taryn's question, you both or three believe in God and maybe a church's teachings. How is it navigating that dynamic? Ooh, that's a great question. We're going to come back to that. Ooh, I think that's such a good question. Josh says, look, I was 36 when I realized my parents had no fucking clue. Not a clue. Them parents didn't know what they was doing. They were us aged, trying their best, but failing. And this is the thing. I'm 45. If I had kids, oh my God. And that's why I didn't. My kids would be in therapy immediately because I already know I'm wild. Uh, Josh says hugs are the best. I love hugs so much. He also says political views do matter to me. If you vote and support hate, I don't fuck with you, blood or not. Fair. And it's good for us to understand that about ourselves. We all have non-negotiables. I am not as married to politics in that way, so I tend to be very open-minded about politics because I can see, I can see and understand the different views out there. And my political views are, man, fuck all of this. This whole system. I think I'm more of an anarchist than anything. But then I also, my political views are rooted in Black liberation, Black revolution. So I would say I'm probably kind of a Black radical anarchist. So a lot of the stuff people are talking about is, I'm like, that doesn't have anything to do with me. Just start your own shit. Taryn says that's a beautiful, hold on, I'm trying to get it. A beautiful answer. And your mom sounds like she was fun. My mom was a wild girl. We were at war with each other until I was like 40. And sometimes still. My mom was a crazy girl. And I grew up in a strictly religious household. So it was interesting evolving with two very crazy, wild, and religious parents and finding my way in it. Naomi says, getting to acceptance from family was a journey, but accepting myself was the most important part of that journey. And that's a mic drop moment. Getting our families and friends to support us, that's its own thing. Learning to accept ourselves, right?
Is the thing.
Right? Learning to say, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just how I'm wired. Whew, now that took time.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, somebody else said something, so let me read this. Josh says, agreed on the system being fucked. There are members in my family who support hate, my father included, who I refuse to talk to. Oh, to me, it's their political vote that shows their morals. And he's still typing. I understand where you're coming from, Josh. I do.
Mm-hmm.
When the rest of it pops up, I'll read it. Oh, they don't align with mine, and I will not eat with them. Oh, he said I can't even break bread with you. Josh, when is your birthday? July? Are you a July Cancer? So this is because that soldier body said I can't even break bread with them. The mission got me over here. So if you over there and that's your mission,
I tolerate that.
oh yeah, it's July Cancer. Soldier body antics for sure.
Oh no.
That's a no for me, dog.
That's a wrap.
I cannot and will not. I'm not like that so much about people's politics, but when I don't like someone, this is where Joe calls me the classy cunt. I am very much nose in the air, and I'm sure Josh saw this because we worked in a very white establishment with a lot of white men in charge. And I'm talking about, I would walk past those people like they did not exist. I would look through them because as far as I'm concerned, you don't. I don't give a fuck if you own this restaurant or not, bitch. You don't mean shit to me. And that's why you be calling me a classic cut because I am very, and I was raised Southern. So, some of those Southern ways, right? You can't sit next to me in the cafeteria, baby. Like, if I don't like you, I cannot share air with you. I can't breathe
That's
with
where the
you.
classy come in. The Southern Belle part. That's the classy part.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I never saw myself as classy, but you called me that and it tickled me pink. There's more things being said. Naomi says, no tolerance. Josh says, I'm 1,000% an unapologetic, progressive artifact and almost unforgiving. Got it. Oh, not artifact, anti-fascist. Fair. Fair. That's fair.
I do get that. But no,
That's
I agree.
fair. That's fair.
Like it really is about yourself. Like when I figured out the verbiage, you know what I mean, for a polyamorous lifestyle or even open relating and things like that in my late, 20s, early 30s, it took the first few years for me to process and unprogram the beliefs I had towards myself. It wasn't about what I wanted to share with my family and friends. It wasn't about like, oh, I need to tell them this. It was me with me. Like I need to be okay with me, first. Because I mean, if you've been monogamous your whole life and you're choosing something very different from that, you do deal with feeling a way about yourself here, there, and processing those triggers within yourself, and sometimes attracting people that reinforce some of those very things, that you feel about yourself. So it was definitely that. My siblings and cousins, they don't care. They live vicariously through me. They be asking what I got going on. I'll be telling my sister. She be like, "Oh my lord," but they enjoy it. They enjoy that I choose to be my most authentic self. My mama, she just kind of accepted when people ask her like, or they try to ask me in front of her like, when is when Joe, when you gonna have kids, when you gonna do this, when you gonna do that. For a long time my mama would ask those questions too, but the more and more she's gotten to know who I am now, she always be quick to tell people, don't ask her stuff like that. Like Joe is doing Joe is enjoying her life the way she desires to. And I appreciate my mama for understanding me, what I'm saying, in that light, in that way, even if she don't fully understand, what I mean, what my life entails.
Because you can accept somebody as they are without fully understanding, you know, everything about them. I think we put too much weight in being able to understand people. We are all so differently flavored. You're not always gonna understand. Like, that's wild to me. Oh, Taryn has a question for you. Oh, hold on. I'm behind. I was trying to add Naomi and I lost some stuff. So hold on. Josh says, yes, our workplace was very me looking like a lot of white men in charge. Then I hired people who are qualified with no other requirements. That pissed off the owner. Indeed, Josh did. Almost lost my job promoting a bar back to bartend. That's wild because he's actually a pretty stunning bartender, even to this day. Taryn Morris, when you say your family, oh, this is for you, Joe. When you say your family is vicariously living through you, are you saying that they want to live the life you live, but they are afraid? Ooh, um,
Some of them, yes. Some of them find a delight in me being able to navigate that. They don't feel like they have necessarily the capacity to do so. Naturally, so some of them feel like most people feel that are monogamous. Like I couldn't handle that. I would be jealous. But I do tell them like, it's not like jealousy does not occur in my life. You know what I mean? I just have different ways of processing that. You know what I mean? But they do. My cousins and siblings, like they enjoy hearing me navigate my relationships. Um, they think it's interesting and amusing. They have questions. They ask more questions now. As I continue to be in this, because some people hear polyamory or they hear that I live this non-traditional lifestyle, and some people equate that to like something that's being tried out. So they'd be like, so when are you gonna stop doing that? And I'm like, it's not. It's not what it is. It's not a deadline to it. It is who I am, you know. But yeah, I have family that they do want to kind of live through it, or they wish
I
that they could do what I navigate it the way that I do, or navigate relationships the way that I do.
I think that's a dope question. And I think, this is when I like how I've heard Rakim describe open relating. And he's like, when he's using the term open relating, what he's talking about is freedom based relating. Right. And I always kind of held on to that definition. Oftentimes, polyamory is not, it's not even about a particular lifestyle. Some people are polyamorous and they live in exclusive partnerships their whole life. They get married, they have kids, they commit to it, and it just works for them, right? It doesn't stop them from being polyamorous.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is important to distinguish between the polyamorous orientation versus the polyamorous lifestyle. I also think that because most of us are trading our authentic self for what we believe is connection, and we're conflating control with connection, a lot of times what's happening is we're losing parts of ourself. We're sacrificing parts of ourself for the relationship. And, when I think about what you're saying, Joe, and the question that Taryn asked about living vicariously through you, I think what's often happening, and I see this in my own family, and I come from a very Christian background, which means we have to answer Josh's question next, right? Because he asked us a question about God. So we're coming back to you, Josh. I come from a super Christian family, right? And I grew up in a very strict religious household. So I'm very churched in terms of my background. And then I was a part of a fairly strict Christian church as an adult. People come to me for spiritual guidance all the time. Christians come to me for spiritual guidance. Monogamous people come to me for relationship guidance. Married people come to me for marriage advice, because I think what happens when you remove yourself from the matrix, people are attracted to your freedom. So when you ask how are they living vicariously through you, I think what's happening is sometimes it's not so much that they want to be polyamorous. Sometimes it is that they are also naturally polyamorous and they're like, oh, wow, she's actually got the courage to do it. But sometimes it's more, I've never met a person who was that free, that autonomous, that courageous, where they could live in their truth and say, forget what anybody has to say about them. And that's attractive to a lot of people. So some people are living vicariously through their polyamorous friends, their queer friends, their neurodivergent, just their different friends, because so much of our society is built on conformity. We call it unity, but it's really conformity. And when a person says, I'm not going to conform, there are people that say, what's wrong with you? And then there are other people that say, hold on, tell me more. And I
Right.
feel like that's what you're speaking to, Joe.
It is. It's the freedom that they are living vicariously through because they something in their life they don't feel free. You know what I mean? In some aspect. And like you said, I've come to a point in my life where my autonomy and my sovereignty are number one. So my life is a very free form and I hold on to that, very much. And I still find a way to attract the partnerships and the connections that I desire while still doing that. And a lot of people find that to be a challenge, but because it's a challenge for them, it's very intriguing to see somebody that they actually know, you know what I mean, navigate that.
And Naomi, feel free to answer these questions in the chat. I just keep trying to add you and we just keep getting hated upon. We got two more questions. This is, I'm flabbergasted. Okay. So we're going to go to Josh's question, then we're going to go to Terrence's question. And can I just say, can we just stop and celebrate men who are willing to have these conversations in a world that is manufacturing this war between the masculine and the feminine? It is so beautiful to be able to have real, in-depth conversations between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so beautiful because everything about the world is trying to divide and conquer. And I mean, we got a white man in this conversation, we got a black man in this conversation. I'm sure we have different spiritual views, which we're getting ready to touch on, but for us to all come together with our different views on life and have this meeting of the minds and a meeting of the hearts, that's why I do the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so Josh says, tagging on to Terrence's question, you both, or three, and I think he's talking about me, you, and Naomi, believe in God and maybe a church's teachings. How is it navigating that dynamic? Ooh, Joe, you want to go first?
I will. I will touch on something you brought up a few seconds ago, which is like I grew up in the church. You know what I mean? Um, and so there are certain teachings that I understand as far as the foundation, of my life because I grew up in the church. But I consider myself to be a more spiritual person. So I do believe in God, but I believe in God and the universe and, things like that versus an aspect where people speak a lot of people be like, do you believe in God? But they usually are asking, do you believe in Jesus? And I'm like, I understand the concept of Jesus and what that looks like for some people. Um, but I don't look at God, sometimes in the same sense that people do, or like Christians do when they associate it with Jesus. I look at God to be the universe, the powers that be, the unseen and seen, and things like that. But because I was raised in the church, like I said, there's still some foundational things in my life that I naturally understand and follow. The things you were taught in Sunday school and things like that. Oh, we appreciate y'all. I do appreciate this conversation. I really do. And I appreciate that there are men in here legitimately asking very good questions. Like, yes, I agree, Naomi. Like, growing up in a Christian Baptist type environment, and I also went to like a non-denominational church as well. On my dad's side, it was a Baptist church. On my mom's side, it was a non-denominational. Um, but over the years, my understanding of God has expanded from what I was raised on as a child. Let me see.
Okay. I was listening the whole time. I just didn't want y'all to be listening. Uh, okay.
They want us all up in your tinkle business.
That wasn't anybody's business, right? We already getting a little vulnerable. Um, okay, so where did we leave off? Um, oh, okay, I see Josh's question. I would say for me, believe in God and maybe a church's teachings. I would say, Josh, I would not say that I believe in a church's teachings. I would say that I am very well churched because I spent 25 of my 45 years immersed in Christianity and different denominations of Christianity. I started off what they would say New Testament holiness. That's how I grew up. So I was the girl that couldn't wear pants, no jewelry, no makeup, no secular music. We didn't go to the movies. We honored the Sabbath on Friday nights. And Saturday we went to church. I grew up like that. To this day, I wear more dresses and skirts than anything, but not because of how I was raised, but because it's just more comfortable. um, then in my high school years, I was good friends with someone whose mom went to Trinity. So she would take me and her son to Trinity United Church of Christ. For some of you who don't know about Trinity United Church of Christ, I would say that they're kind of a black mm, activist focused church. So Trinity is the church that Barack Obama was a member of uh, before he kind of had to separate himself from it because Pastor Jeremiah Wright was saying some radical things. And when Barack Obama was up for the presidency, those things were being challenged. And Barack Obama was like, "Ooh, okay." I guess I gotta lean over here if I'm a. So I also spent, quite a bit of time in that kind of church community, which is very different from the New Testament Holiness Church community. And then as an adult, I joined the International Churches of Christ, and I spent about 12 or so years there, which is different in its own right. I visited Baptist churches. I've visited Church of God in Christ churches, apostolic churches. I've visited a lot of churches. I've been around a lot of churches. That's why I say I'm well churched. Uh, I, what I would also say is church, Christianity provided me with a foundation for spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And I will never, ever undervalue that because I believe that for me, Christianity was like spiritual elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are able to dig deep, deep, deep into Christianity and find a lifetime of fulfillment. And I fully respect that. Some people, like myself, needed that foundation. I needed that grounding because it taught me the kind of the elementary concepts about life, about morals, about how to treat people. Early in life, it gave me a system and a framework to work within. And then as I wanted to explore and learn more about um, something that was more indigenous, right? Because I've been on a genealogy journey where I come from now. I've been able to look at the DNA test to see my ancestry. I wanted to know more about the big world of spirituality outside of this one religion. And so, what's helped me in my spiritual journey is being able to have a home base. And that's kind of how I see Christianity. That's how I see the Bible. I think it has a lot of gems, a lot of wisdom. And sometimes, navigating the metaphysical streets, navigating the esoteric world, and all the chaotic expressions of it, sometimes it could get really intense and confusing. And the way my brain is wired, having a foundation and a system and a framework to organize my thoughts, even spiritually, benefits me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always have the utmost respect for the Christian religion, the Christian faith, and the Bible, even if I don't necessarily um, believe in it in the same way that I always did. I get a lot of value from it. Um, so I say all that to say, to answer your question about believing in God. So believing in God, I think for me, it's not so much as do I believe in God as it is, I've always had to ask, well, how did all this shit get here?
Mm-hmm.
And I always had to assume that there had to be a creator. So when I started changing my viewpoints around, going from being a fundamental Christian to whoever I've become, I had to ask myself, if I don't know anything about, let's say there is no God, right? Let's say I've just been brainwashed this whole time by the silly religion. How did all this shit get here? So at the very least, I had to, for me, acknowledge that there had to be a creator. If there is a creation, there has to be a creator. So then I had to start asking myself, what do I know about this creator? And that question led me on a really delightful journey because I've gotten a chance to understand creation versus the creator, the source versus that which is connected to source. And if you are a person that likes to use the language God, because some people, they get a lot of power from saying God. There needs to be a God with the capital G, or I need to name him. It needs to be Yahweh. It needs to be Jesus the Christ. It needs to be Allah. It needs to be. And look, I'm not here to argue about none of that.
Mm-hmm.
If your God is Oludumare, you know what I'm saying?
I don't care. I feel like sometimes we get too caught up in the names, and names again coming from languages that ain't even that old.
Right.
So we're using an English translation to describe uh, ancient source, the all that is, and we're trying to use these modern English colonial terms to describe something that is really indescribable, and everybody can only speak about it in at their level of connection to it. And
Mm-hmm.
so if we're all looking at it from different vantage points, why can't we say, let me hear what you have learned, and then let me share with you what I'm learning? And why are we fighting so much about something that can't none of us see? So
Right.
to me, uh, I try to be careful about the language that I use, because I definitely believe that there's a creator. I definitely believe that there's a source. Because I am churched, I might use the language of God,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's comfortable. And sometimes, depending on who I'm talking about, I know that's going to make sense to them. Um, but in reality, uh, the church was the church was my elementary school, and I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And I can always go back. My auntie, who's like my mother, she's a first lady of a Baptist church down in Kentucky. Her husband is a pastor, like has a doctorate, like is that dude, theologically speaking. And I live with them, like sometimes it's nothing. They like, come down whenever you want. They know where I am. My auntie, she's well versed in scripture. And still we have these beautiful conversations about this kind of thing. So for me, navigating that dynamic is easy, because I don't think that the creator created me without considering that I was going to break out of some boxes.
Right. I agree. My mom is similar. Like, she grew up in the church, but 5 to 6 days a week, and because of that, we grew up in the church as well. Up until the main pastor that she grew up with, once he passed away, she she couldn't handle going to that church, but she never forced us to continue to go. So the amount of time that we did spend in the church as children, like you said, it was a foundational point for us. But my mom always allowed us to go out into the world and come to our own conclusions. But because of that foundation, that allowed me a deeper understanding of my own spiritual, journey. And like you said, I will interchange certain verbiage depending on who I'm talking to. A lot of my family are, Christians, but at the same time, there are plenty of Christians that think tarot or oracle or certain things that I practice are considered demonic. But my family that are full of Christians, some of them still contact me for readings. You know what I mean? They still contact me with certain questions about certain things that they cannot get answers to in the church. You know what I mean? Like, they still call me to have these spiritual conversations. Me and my mom have very spiritual conversations about all kinds of things that are not Christian related, but she know the Bible like the back of her hand. When people start talking about the Bible and they try to throw scripture around and interpret it, she get real quiet. And we all know why she's getting real quiet, because she know this book like the back of her hand. So she could choose to spar with them from a biblical sense, but that's just not where she at with it. She like, I know what I know. You can know what you know. I'm not finna go back and forth with you about it or the interpretation of it, because as we've mentioned, and as some people have mentioned inside, like, these books have been written and rewritten and didacted from and all kind of things. So like, my mom is the type was like, I'm not finna argue with you about what it mean and what it is. You can believe what you believe, and it is what it is. So I hold gratitude that she allowed us to be like that. You know what I mean? And my family too. Everybody know, don't fuck around playing with me. Don't ask me the wrong question, because you're gonna get the right answer.
Let's catch up with this chat. I love what you're sharing, Joe. We have a lot of chat that's happened since I last checked in.
I,
So I'm going to try to get us through it. Have you been reading them?
yeah, now it seemed like now that we backed out, like when you came into the second time, I can everything is actually like playing through, so I can see
Yay!
they saying.
Oh, cool, cool. Okay. Well, then, cool. Then I'll just point out some of the main things that are sticking out to me since you can read everything. Um, let's see. Good question, Taryn. Oh, we're talking about, yep, Daniel, he's great. I like the open relating term more than poly. Sometimes I like it too,
Me,
as and freedom based relating. Sometimes I want to get away from poly, right, because of the connotation. Josh says he just loves women coming. Poly after dark with Josh.
mm-mm.
Uh, he agreed on the term conformity, disagreement with the wording of different. I'd love to hear more about what he's talking about. I don't remember what was being discussed then. It could imply moral corruption or deviant behavior. Oh, okay. Yes, I love when men can open up about relationships. You guys are asking great questions. Taryn says, I celebrate you guys as well. Ooh, okay. Beautiful, intelligent Black women. We receive that.
Yes.
Um,
Hey.
let's see. We are queens. Josh says we're queens. We receive all those words of affirmation. Oh, Naomi grew up Christian Baptist. Yes. Expanded understanding of God, same as you, released a lot of shame. Yes, yes, yes. Josh grew up Christian. Mm. Oh, atheist. Oh, okay, got it. I hear that question a lot from people who are atheists. Um, I don't think I could ever be atheist. I remember that. I think I tried to be atheist in my teenage years, but the spirit realm be just knocking on me. Also, every major religion to me and their books are immoral. The Jesus books, especially from how they're rewritten, and the fact a slave Bible is a thing blows my mind. Fair enough. The people who bind themselves to a rewritten book and pick and choose verses to the hypocrisy, absolutely. I don't need a person to tell me to be nice. Do unto others. Yeah, I feel that. There's
Mhm.
good that comes from the church. I agree. Heaven and hell, a vindictive Lord. I feel that. Beliefs, not trying to take that from you. Oh no, we ain't even taking it that way, Josh. We just talking.
Yeah, not at
Yeah,
all.
we're not offended at all. These conversations are
Oh,
refreshing for us.
somebody asked me about my earrings. They are gauges. They
Oh,
asked,
thank you. That was Josh.
he asked me if it was a loop or a gauge. They are gauges.
Okay. Foundation for spiritual growth. Control system for the wealthy. Jesus would spit on the Vatican. Absolutely. Um, demonic or pagan, which is hilarious because Christmas is rooted in pagan. Winter solstice. Yeah, I didn't grow up celebrating Christmas. I didn't grow up celebrating any holidays. The New Testament Holiness Church was like, all that shit's pagan. We don't do it. Your mom sounds wonderful. Josh loves your mom, Joe. And now Taryn has a question. Can you unpack more what you mean when you say orientation versus lifestyle? Sorry, Josh. You can answer my question after his. Okay. The difference between orientation versus lifestyle. And I'm still trying to add Naomi to the conversation, and we're still being hated upon. Wow. Okay. Well, Joe, you want to go or you want me to go?
Um, you can take that one.
Okay. Okay, fine. I
Hmm.
think this conversation around orientation versus lifestyle comes up a lot of times, especially I think when you're speaking to people who are Christian, because I think uh, the Christian minded person sees everything through the lens of good and evil, God or the devil, binary thinking. It's either this or it's that. It's black, it's white, it's hot, it's cold. And anything in the middle is perceived as less authentic. Um, so oftentimes when I hear Christian minded people talk about people who do not fit into the group think or the mold or whatever the community morality agreement is, people who say, hey, I am queer, whatever queer could mean. I'm gay. I'm lesbian, I'm bisexual, I'm pansexual, I am asexual, right? I am transsexual. When people say that, the first thing Christians will say is, well, God doesn't approve of your lifestyle. And what often will happen with the person who is different from the group is they will say, okay, but God created me as I am. So are you telling me that I cannot be who I am and be accepted by God? And oftentimes Christians are focused on the behavior, right? Which to me is the lifestyle. And they are ignoring the fact that this person is telling you, even if I didn't make any active behaviors, I am still oriented this way.
Mm-hmm.
I am still not like y'all. You're telling me that there's a right way to exist. And even if I follow all the rules to the T, I will never be y'all. And you see this happen oftentimes in churches where you got somebody who is blaming, flaming fruit, gay as gay can be. The woman is a studly Christian, right? The man is in the tenor section, and baby,
I was about
the
to say,
wrist is
we all seen her.
swinging,
All seen
and
her.
we've noticed it the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now this person, because of the church, they've decided that they're going to try to do things the right way. I've seen people come in church and go through deprogramming systems, people healing them from homosexuality, because now homosexuality is not just a sin, but it's an evil spirit. And the church does so much damage trying to force somebody to conform to their brand of humanity when they really don't even understand the history of the religion that they say they know in and out, because the only way they know how to describe and define the Bible is by using the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your whole world is in a box and your cognitive dissonance is showing. And when a human being says, hey, I love God, I appreciate the spirit realm, I have benefited from my relationship with the Most High, and Christ consciousness has helped me in my life, and it didn't change my orientation.
Mm-hmm.
What often happens is when they say that, then somebody immediately ignores the vastness of who this person is and says, oh, that ain't shit. And so it focuses on their behavior. While they're doing it, they got a whole fucking redwood forest in their eye, all the sin in the world, all the trash behaviors. But they want to point out that person's identity, whether they're living on it or not, whether they're behaving it or not. To me, that's the difference between orientation and lifestyle. So when polyamory is brought up, I am polyamorous, period. I am a person. What is polyamory? The definition of polyamory is many loves. Poly, many, amory, amorous, amor, love. That means I have the capacity to love multiple people at the same time. Right? Humans are not a monogamous species. Humans are not a monogamous species. Human beings are not a monogamous species. Scientifically speaking, we are not. So when a person says they are polyamorous, that is not necessarily an indication of what their lifestyle is. We already talked about earlier, when people hear the word polyamory, they think it's just a day after day orgy. And there are asexual polyamorous people.
Right.
They ain't had a lick of sex. They done lived a life of abstinence and celibacy, but they are polyamorous. I think sometimes the colonized, boxed in mindset says, well, how is that? Well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't approve of your lifestyle. Well, how is your family dealing with your lifestyle? Well, first of all, what lifestyle? I've been in an exclusive partnership for the past 3 years. What lifestyle? I wasn't even doing that.
Right.
Right. So what do you mean? My lifestyle? Really, my lifestyle looks very basic, right?
Right.
But the
My,
world that is inside of me is expansive. Go ahead, Joe.
no, I was saying, I was piggybacking on what you were saying, like my lifestyle is very normal. Like, what do you mean? My lifestyle in my mind, but some people, like you said, they hear certain words and they project their perception of what that lifestyle looks like, what those behaviors look like. But for me, it's just what it is. It just is what it is.
It is. It is. And I think that, that's why I love how all of us said it when we were asked. The truth of the matter is we were poly regardless. Even if we had never found language, we knew we were different. We knew we didn't show up like the other kids did. Some about us, one of these kids is doing their own thing. Something about us was different. It didn't fit. It wasn't, and we could try to fit it. You could try to make it fit. We tried. We tried.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And and after a while it gets to the point where you're like, how long am I going to try to fit into something that I don't fit into? It's making me miserable. I'm making other people miserable. So instead of me trying to conform to something that maybe I believed before, I'm going to now make room for my expansion, and I'm going to question and evaluate my beliefs. Do my beliefs from back then still hold weight for the person I've evolved into? And I think any human being who is being honest with themselves has to reconcile that, because we become different versions of ourselves all the time. We are constantly growing and evolving unless you're choosing, because stagnancy is a choice. You want to be the person that never moves off your block, never expands in how you think. You never want to challenge the way you think. You never want to expand your paradigm. Then you can be the same exact person you were at the age of 7, 10, 14, 21, 35, and on.
Mm-hmm.
Some people never ever evolve past that, and they're miserable, and you see it. And then they can't, and you see the ignorance show up, because then they always want to show up fighting with everybody else for evolving. Well, I'm sorry you chose to die stupid. And I'm not saying that people who choose Christianity are stupid. Not at all, because some of the most evolved people I know are in the Christian system.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying is, if your spiritual belief cannot evolve with who you are as a person, I would invite you to have a different relationship with your God. I would invite you to get far more honest with the being that you are praying to every day. Because if you cannot evolve as a critically thinking human and expand spiritually together, then I would invite you to start having some different conversations.
I agree.
Okay, let me catch up on what the people are saying in the group chat. I do love listening to the debates on Christianity on the Clock app. Ooh, I don't know what the Clock app is. Naomi always knows some stuff. The lie with the man part of the Bible is rewritten from: a man should not lie with a child. Also, say this out loud: marginalized groups only exist because of hate. Felt. Taryn says, that's a powerful answer. Thank you, Queen. Joshua says, thank you, Taryn, for hearing our answers. Joshua says, blank pathers. I don't know what that word is. Black Panthers, maybe? LGBTQ, HBCUs, minority groups fighting for rights only exist because of hate and fear. Not evolving is half a choice. It's the lack of prefrontal cortex exercises. Also fair. And the Clock app is TikTok. Got it. You know, I think it's funny because I'm gonna unpin this question. I like pinning the questions because then I can see it and hold it. Um, I don't like to participate in religious debates um, unless I'm talking to somebody who is secure, and the conversation has to be taking us somewhere. I'm not just going to be sitting up here trying to argue with somebody about what they believe, because I just think that's an exercise in futility. It is stupid to me. It's fruitless. But I am willing to challenge anyone. You know, if we're having a real conversation and you tell me that something is true, I'm going to ask you, well, how do you know? Tell me more. I want to, I really want to know where you are with this. Like, what is it grounded in? Because I'm genuinely interested, especially when I run into people like Joe was saying. I know a lot of Christians who come to me for spiritual advice.
Mm-hmm.
And baby, I got a potty mouth. I talk to the ancestors. I do stuff that, some Christians would consider demonic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Christians be coming to me to understand stuff that nobody's going to help them understand in the church. And and I'm pretty scriptured up. I could speak the language
Mm-hmm.
of the Bible. Um, but I do find it funny that some people would say that I'm out here, going against God. Prime example. So my dad died still in the New Testament holiness way of thinking, very strict, right? On his third wife, but hey, you just as polyamorous as I am, brother. Um, but
That's the
but
kicker.
my right. So I told my dad when he was still alive that my dead brother had come to me and was uh, giving me a lot of messages, insight, and guidance. And my dad said, "Ooh, yeah, daughter, I hear you. I just want to tell you." And he referenced a couple of scriptures, and he said, "Hey, no disrespect, right? No disrespect. However, you're talking about your ancestors coming to you. From what I understand about the Bible, you need to be very careful because, baby, that's not how this works. Them ain't your ancestors." Um, and I knew where he was going because I know my dad. I'm like, oh, you think it's a demon? You think it's some evil spirit, trying to pull me into the depths of hell? I said, okay, cool, cool, cool. Fair. I said, answer me this. If it's a demon coming to me from the depths of hell, why does this demon want me to forgive you for the ways that you have transgressed against me? Because I'm sorry, from what I know, demons ain't out here trying to get us to forgive,
Right.
ain't out here trying to get us to love, ain't out here trying to bring families together. So I'm trying to understand, if it is a demon in my head telling me to work on my relationship with your goofy ass, what benefit is it to a demon for me to be reconciled with my father? And he had no answers. And I felt like Kanye, you don't got the answers, Sway.
You don't got the answers. You don't got the answers, Sway.
Let me come back to the chat. Sorry, I swipe text. Sometimes it gets words wrong. Okay. Sometimes I get words wrong because I swipe text. Got it. Naomi says, when people are sharing their experiences and the truth behind biblical teachings, it's why I listen in. Naomi actually has like I, I say follow Naomi. I think Naomi should go live once a week and tell her Bible stories. I have
Man,
never heard
I
a
wish
Bible
we could get her
story
back
told
live to tell
as
these Bible.
eloquently as Naomi. Um, Josh says game recognizes game. Terrence says, I used to love debates when I was younger. Now that I'm older, I prefer mature conversations. I rarely see people change their minds during the debate, but conversations are life changing. Ooh, agreed. I would say, and tell me what you think, Joe. What Taryn is saying, and look, and I like debate. I do, right? I come from a family that debates a lot. It's in my DNA to debate. Um, but I only like to debate with certain people. Because most people, I just feel like, no, first of all, you don't even know what you're talking about enough to be debating with me. But oh, Naomi says she's going to go live and give us her biblical stories. And Josh disagrees with T on this. Tell us what you disagree on, and I'll finish this thought. Um, what I appreciate, Taryn, and this sounds like what you're talking about. As I've been digging back and going to more indigenous practices, and again doing a lot of decolonizing work, around relationships. I also look at our attachment to logic, stoicism, again, very eurocentric ways of learning and processing information. Also, not the most sophisticated, not even that old. I believe, this is a theory I have, and I'll present it to you all, that the African oral tradition is the most sophisticated way to distribute information, to pass down history, to educate. I think is more sophisticated than our modern day academic system. I mean, like even more sophisticated than the university. I think the Black people always had the code, and sitting around in community and talking amongst each other, uh, the oral tradition, or what we call conversation,
Mm-hmm.
casual, respectful, communal conversation to me is the most sophisticated way to learn. And because once the guards are down and nobody's trying to be over anyone or control anyone, and now we're just letting things flow and the information is working its way around and the spirit is moving and two or more are gathered in the name of learning, in the name of understanding, and there is a safe container. I think we learn more in this way. And I think it is easier to learn in this way than when you're fighting for your life in a debate because the guards are down. I don't know what you think of this, Joe, but I want to throw that out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I have learned very enlightening things from conversation. The in a group, like you said, I mean, even us being in butterflies, like the way in which we used to commune together to have discussion, you know what I mean, conversation and allow, like you said, the walls to kind of, be let down to where everybody just exchanging input and stories without realizing like the lessons and gems that may be in this storytelling. I think that's the beauty of the storytelling and the conversation, the gems that end up being presented that to us, especially as Black people, it just sounds like regular conversation to us. Like we just shooting the shit, we just shooting the shit and talking shit. But there's so much knowledge in that, you know what I mean? And I
I
think,
agree. No, please continue.
no, I was saying I think it's a beautiful thing.
I do too. Okay, so Josh, I'm getting ready to challenge you. We're at the point of the night where my diplomacy is wearing thin. Okay, so Taryn says I used to love debates when I was younger. Now that I'm older, I prefer mature conversations. I rarely see people change their minds during a debate, but conversations are life changing. So Taryn used a lot of I statements, and he shared a lot about his experience. To which Josh said, I disagree with T on this. And I'm trying to understand how you disagreeing about the man saying he used to love debates. I think he would know that. And then he says now that he's older, he prefers mature conversations. What's to disagree with? He's sharing his experience. Then he says he rarely sees people changing their minds. Again, an experience that he's having, um, something that he rarely sees. And you don't know, Taryn, so I'm trying to understand what you disagree with. Then he says, but conversations are life changing. So I think you're almost proving the point, but correct me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I come from a family of debaters. I love to debate. I don't think it's anything wrong with it. I just don't want to waste my debating skills on a person who I don't find worthy. But I think this is interesting because one of the things I said is that it is very Eurocentric to believe that logic supersedes everything. It is very Eurocentric to divide, conquer, argue, fight, and even have a war with words. I said English is a violent language, right? And Taryn just said, hey, this is my experience, and this is why I just be chilling and trying to have conversations. And Josh came right up in there, and in true white man form said, I disagree. What are you disagreeing with, my guy? Because he didn't even say nothing to disagree with. He made a very neutral statement about his own personal experience. But then he says he loves debating, obviously, because you turned a man's expression about what he's learning in his life into a debate, and he wasn't even having a debate. He already said he didn't want to debate.
Right.
Um, He says, coming into a discussion on opposing thoughts or beliefs doesn't mean it can't be civil. He never said it couldn't be civil. He said he rarely sees people change their minds. So you can be civil and still not change your mind. You can say, I agree to disagree, and mine ain't changed. So what Taryn is speaking to, I believe, and Taryn, correct me if I'm wrong, is more of you want to have a conversation where you can get more out of it, and you found that debating isn't giving you as much from the conversation as you would like. So you are learning to converse differently, which is kind of what I said. I think the ancient African oral tradition, storytelling, right, meeting of the minds, meeting of the hearts, meeting of the spirits, is a little bit more inclusive than debate, although you can learn from a debate. I agree with that.
Yeah.
He says people who debate, now Josh also has a disclaimer here, people who debate just to make a point louder than the other point, but aren't listening and willing to look at their perspective isn't a debate. That's an argument. I think it's important to understand the difference between a debate and an argument for sure. I also don't believe that everything's up for debate.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we're disagreeing with stuff that it ain't no disagreement. A
Right.
person is saying, I like the color blue, and I don't understand how another person can argue with a person liking the color blue or not. That's wild to me. Naomi says, I learned so much from us sharing our stories and experiences. That is the human way of learning for sure. Josh says, I love being proven wrong. The term debating goes, your points are heard and learned from. Terrence says, so when I say debates, oh, hold on. And I like this. I mean, the academic form of debating. That's how it's trained. Going back and forth, pointing out fallacies, is straw man, appeal to authority. Fair. It's a hostile form of communication, in my opinion. And to that, I would say ashe,
Yeah.
because again, most of us are learning how to debate based on European schools of thought. Again, colonialism keeps showing up. As a person who does a lot of decolonizing work, do I like to debate? Absolutely. Do I feel like it's the most sophisticated way to learn? Not necessarily,
Right.
right? So when he says it's a hostile form of communication, we also got to think about it. Most of us are English speakers. English is a violent language. We covered that time and time again. English is the language that has been used to rape, to pillage, to enslave. So oftentimes when we're trading these English words back and forth to prove someone wrong or to get somebody um, to concede, to beat some, to win, this is less about the learning and oftentimes more about, um, I don't want to use the word control, although I have seen people use debates to control people, but oftentimes it's more about the ego of the
Mm-hmm.
person debating than it is about actually coming together. Because you could have opted to not debate and you could have opted to inquire. You could have chosen curiosity over correction
Mm-hmm.
every time. And I think our American culture is so intent on being right and so intent on oh, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna tell you. People can't even have watch a video be 3 minutes long. People got 20 minutes in and they are already, oh, I can tell you don't know what you're talking about because blah, 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 blah. So you watch the whole video, you don't even have full context. What is you debating about? I said, case in point, I did a video where I said I try to be gracious with people based on my relationship with the divine. I don't like to define people based off of my least favorite characteristic about them. I thought that was a pretty neutral statement. Baby, they on YouTube talking about, they warning people to stay away from me because I clearly got a relationship with the devil because I'm talking about being gracious. I said, is grace a satanic
Crazy work.
concept?
Crazy work. But I do understand what T is saying as far as academic debate. You know what I mean? Like you said, I'm all for debate, but academia debate, it is very hostile, and it's not, from what I've experienced in being in debate. You know what I mean? In high school and in college, it was never to necessarily understand the opposite side. It was more so to simply prove
Be
them wrong,
understood.
be
Hmm.
understood, like just to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Versus, like we talk about the more ancient aspect of storytelling, especially when it comes to the Black community. It's not about necessarily proving anybody wrong or right or any of that. It is to be understood, to relate, and to connect. And more
Yeah.
times, it is to relate. You know what I mean? But in relating, we end up getting a more profound level of understanding about that particular person and sometimes ourselves as well, that you don't always get to experience when it comes to academia debate.
Good points. And let's go back to what Taryn was talking about with academic, because again, the academic form of debating, which I love, it's
Mm.
fun to me. I think I'm also saying that it's not the most sophisticated way to learn. And on top of it, I'd like to add, what is the objective of the debate? Also, what kind of rapport do you have with the people you're debating with? Because I think to debate without rapport is wild. Like, I don't know you from a can of paint, and you opened up your mouth and said whatever it is you said, and I couldn't wait to run over there and try to spar with you, and we have no rapport. Imagine in real life. Let's step away from debating. I run up on a person I don't know from a can of paint and I punch them in the stomach because I'm sparring with a person I have no rapport with. And if they pull out a gun and put a slug in me, I'll be saying, all I did was hit you. What was all the violence? I didn't deserve to be shot. I deserve to be shot. I think that's how ridiculous we look. Debating with people we don't have relationship with. Because to me, before we can have a debate, we have to already have agreed upon some terms. We have to already have agreed upon certain values.
Mm-hmm.
You don't just come over here calling yourself debating and you didn't even check with me to see if I wanted to be involved in a debate with you.
Right.
So I think a lot of what we call debate is really wild. It's lawless. It I would not recommend. So, and I see it a lot. Honestly, I see it a lot online when marginalized people are speaking on something that they know extensively and intimately. And then somebody else who does not have that same level of marginalization will come on there and start trying to debate them. Bitch, who is you? I'm talking about racism. Get your ass up out of here. You don't know nothing about it. Shut up. Or a woman is talking about women's issues, and then men want to come over and mansplain their way through it. Well,
You
how'd
know.
you get over here? How you debating with me on something I know? Do you have a uterus? Do you have ovaries?
Right.
Is there something you're not telling us? Because it's wild. Or men will start expressing like what their experience is as a man, and then a woman go come over here and start to, well, actually, maybe you have not walked a day in his footsteps.
There is no
Um,
act. Well, actually, shut the fuck up. Actually.
but and then if you actually get your ass whooped or get dragged on the internet, because
Right.
why'd you bring your silly ass over here doing all that
Now, now,
jaw jacking?
now you mad that somebody didn't read you the fifth, but you came over here fucking around with the fuck around.
Yep. Oh, Josh is okay. Debating. I instinctually go into a mode where I assume I will hear, see, or read talking heads without any effort to learn. Again, apologize for my immediately uncritically thought response. Apologies are not being accepted tonight because there's nothing to apologize for. We just talking. Debates to me are coming to an understanding of their view and not losing my values. But if people have a moral set that I don't agree with, I'm willing to lose them or try to endlessly show them why their actions hurt people I care about. That's fair. Only people with uterus should write laws concerning them. Also fair. Naomi says it's a good thing to learn about venting, aka the uplevel process. Oh yeah.
This true.
Yeah, I think so. Um, I actually love this conversation. Josh, I don't think that you haven't done anything that's personally offended me.
Yeah.
Okay, or Joe. And I assume Naomi's cool. We're all pretty pretty chill women. I mean, I'm passionate. You know, I'm gonna be on 10 about anything I say because I stand 10 toes down on whatever I said. But, but
Say what
in
you
real,
meant out here.
that's it. If I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it like I meant it. I was raised like that. But in real life, I don't think you said anything wrong. You're just expressing your your thoughts and viewpoints from your cultural perspective,
Yeah.
and we all are coming from different vantage points.
Hmm.
Are we on 10 yet? Are we on 10 yet? No, I'm not. I live on 10, but really, that song is funny because I do live on 10. But I also be chill. Like 10 is just so like chill for me.
It is
People
because
be
I've
stressed out at my chill.
look. I've definitely seen you on 20. I definitely seen you on 20.
Yeah, people be stressed out at my like default setting. I wake up on 10 and it be real chill. I just be like, what? And people be like, oh, Jose, you're just so aggressive. It's just so, And I'm like, what? Look at me.
I
I'm
do.
relaxed.
What I do.
I am relaxed. But I could go to 1,000 easy. It's nothing.
I'm never gonna forget the first ever Blue Butterflies retreat. We was on 50. Fuck being 10, we was on 50.
I was probably like a good 15. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I started at 10. 10 is baseline. So I took it up a notch because I was working. Taryn is not offended at all. With debates, he's more committed to the relationship than to being right. You don't want to win a debate and lose a friend. Amen. That's what. And what is the name of our series? Relationships and shit.
Yeah.
Because to me, what is the objective? What is the priority? For me, the relationship always
Hmm.
takes a front seat to any beliefs or thoughts I have. It's
Always.
not that I don't have the thoughts and the beliefs, but if it's going to destroy a beautiful relationship I have, then I'm really wondering, do I believe in this enough to say fuck this person? And if I do, well, fuck them. But I, but I think a lot of times we're throwing away relationships with people that we really don't want to throw away
Right.
because we won't critically challenge our belief systems.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I agree with
Yeah, I peeped it, Josh. Samantha had that drink, I recall. Um, we had a drink on the menu at this restaurant slash nightclub we worked at called I Live on 10.
you.
We named all of our drinks after songs, just about. Like I had a drink called Bullet with Butterfly Wings, like the Smashing Pumpkins song. Um, but yeah, what as you were saying, Joe.
No, I was saying I agree.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I like this relationships and shit. I say maybe we could do it next week. We don't have to go for 17 hours. Um, but you know, we could get in like an hour or so of some conversation around relationships and shit. This was so fun to me.
What?
Um,
What?
also, I've been told to go live more, and I'll be honest with y'all, since you know we're being vulnerable and it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I um I actually deal with a lot of camera shyness,
Mhm.
so I've been pushing myself to go live more. I've been pushing myself to post video content daily. I'm super uncomfortable with it, but I'm learning. So this whole content creator thing is a little new to me. There's a part of me who resists it because I don't want to be a content creator. I just want to be a coach and an educator and all the things that I like to be.
Right.
But I'm being told that people are not getting a chance to see and feel my energy and the fullness of me, and that I need to be more spontaneous. So this was me taking that advice, and Joe came along with me, and Naomi came, and you gentlemen came, and I'm just so grateful to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it too because I have some of those same issues, like with the things that I do, but I'm also very much a behind the scenes person, so I'd rather not be on camera. But true to what you just said, like I do understand that people do need to see me and see my energy and what I have to say. Because I never
Yeah,
you know, who it touches and who needs to hear it. So this conversation and the response and engagement with everybody kind of affirms the necessity for me to show my face and speak my mind for the benefit
Yeah,
of others and also for the benefit of myself.
I love that. I'm gonna read the last few comments, and then I have one final question for you, Joe, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up. Naomi said not 17 hours. I don't even know what time it is anymore. Oh my
It is
God, it's 4 o'clock in
3:45.
the morning. We are wilding. Like I'm not grown enough to be up this late. Okay. Josh says, "Oh, debates or deep conversations can be a vetting for a person I'm willing to lose. I'm open to a lot, but people who won't meet me at a moral level as a social norm of good, I'm good not having them here." You know what I want to say to that, Josh? I think it's important that we um, receive what you're saying because you're also having a different cultural experience from us. You are a person, and I know you personally, so I feel good about saying this. You are a white man, but you are a white man who is constantly working on uh, acknowledging his privilege. You are a white man who does his best to center marginalized people's voices, particularly Black women. I've been a Black woman who has benefited from your lifestyle of activism in the workplace for sure. And I think what's happening is you're sharing about debating because one, I would say that that is something that is a culturally Eurocentric thing to do, but also you are also fighting against the man because you're surrounded by people in your family and in your community who are dehumanizing other people. And, to me, uh, if you are going to consider yourself an ally, it is important for you to handle that dirty work. That is not Black people's jobs to be out here trying to police white people and convince white people to be more moral. We have experienced for centuries that oftentimes that is not the case. So the white people who do show up and remember that they are actually humans first, I think it is your responsibility to be on the front lines managing your crazy cousins. Because if your crazy cousin runs up on somebody like me, they might get something that they did not bargain for. Um, so thank you for the work that you do, my dear friend. Uh, Naomi says, yes, this was awesome. Yay, Naomi. And come back to relationships and shit. And you definitely need to go live with your Bible stories. They are the best. Um, Joshua says, grateful to have you in my life as passively as it is. Joe, you seem cool too. T, you're solid. Naomi, I already gave you your roses. I love that. He says, my uncles are Trumpers. They're dead to me. Um, he says, I'm doing my best. I try all the time to ask them why they're offended or upset and then reflect on that. And let's see, did I miss any? I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Um, I would like to say also, on the Black side of things, I think the reason why we are so, I think Black Americans are um, naturally more communal. It's in our DNA, right? So even though we were snatched out of Africa and removed from our indigenous ways, it's in the, my auntie would say, it's in the Dana, baby. It's in the Dana. You cannot separate us from that which is us. And we are as indigenous people, even if we, whether you want to argue that we're indigenous to America or indigenous to Africa, I'll leave that debate for another day. Um, we are more communal. We are more village minded. We understand interdependence in a way that I don't think a lot of people do. We understand the importance of community. We understand the importance of together. we believe in it takes a village to raise a child, but not just a child. It takes a village to build a nation. To me, that is the Black way of doing things. I teach it.